method to the madness. My name is Rob Maxwell, and I'm an exercise physiologist. I'm the owner of Maxwell's Fitness Programs, and I've been in business since 1994. You know, I love science. I think science is so cool when I study different things. Now, obviously, like everybody else, we all love that edger going on right outside the window right now. That could not have been more perfect timing. But obviously there's some science stuff that we all got bored on in high school or college or whatever, or bored with, I should say. That was very good proper English. But then there's science that I think a lot of us just love, and it might be different for everybody, but looking at different things, whether it be engineering for mechanics and people that are in the space and flying and stuff like that. My daughter's really into environmental sciences, like she loves looking at different things like that, and some also she's kind of into biology as well, and she likes looking at different things. Seems to have a propensity towards enjoying that, but everybody's into different forms of science, I believe. Some people are in the pseudoscience, like the stuff that's really kind of not legit, but that's for a different day. But I'm into two different kinds of sciences really that really fascinate me. There's the social sciences. I love looking at different sports psychology stuff, and then there's the physiology. I really love looking at how the body works, and as most of you know, or hopefully by now, that's pretty much what this podcast is about. That's why it's the method to the madness. It's all about talking about what's the scientific reason why things happen. I don't believe that we have to get over scientific when we train. I really don't. I think sometimes when I look at different trainers and coaches, they get like way too complicated, and I almost think that's because they don't understand the science well enough, that if they understood the science, then they could simplify it a lot more. I almost think that's the case. I mean, sometimes maybe people are just really think that's the best way to explain it, but a lot of times I've seen people over-explain things and overcomplicate things when they really don't understand it, because even though the body is an amazing thing, physiology really is such an amazing thing. I mean, it is so cool how everything comes together. Once you understand a lot of it, it's pretty simple as far as how to train it to make it better. So anyway, that's what this podcast is about, and this week I'm going to get into the different parts of more genetic physiology, and I'm going to mostly cover different types of muscle fiber types this week, because I think it's really cool. Hopefully you'll find it cool, and it's definitely useful. And today I'm going to start with a little introduction to it. All right, so before I do that, I want to thank our very first sponsor, and we have two now, and our first one is Jonathan and Lynn Gilden at the Gilden Group at Realty Pros. They currently have over 275 star reviews on Zillow, and they've made over $100 million in sales between the two. Jonathan and Lynn, amazing couple of real estate power folks, and they do a great job. I mean, you don't have that kind of success if you're not good at what you do. I mean, that's the bottom line. They can be reached at 386-451-2412 or thegildengroup.com. All right, so muscle fiber type. Muscle fiber type. How many of you have looked into that or wondered a little bit more about it? I think if you've studied different sports, it's been more interesting to you if you've basically gone to the gym to stay in shape and improve your health and all that, which is critical, more critical probably than the athletes, I would argue. Maybe you haven't been as interested, but it's pertinent to both. Like it's important to understand both, because not important to understand both. It's important for both groups of people to understand it. The athletes because they want to improve, and the health and fitness goers because they really should understand what they're trying to accomplish, and maybe why they hit fatigue, and maybe why they're better at different things. So I think it's important to understand fiber type for whichever group you might classify yourself in. So let's look at that. Let's start to look at that. So there are two main types of muscle fibers. When I say two main, It's because the fast twitch muscle fiber can be broken up a little bit, and now they found even more subdivisions of that, and I don't want to get that crazy because I don't think it's that important, but there are two main fiber types that we are, and yes, we can be a mixture of both. All right, there's fast twitch muscle fiber, which we call type 2 muscle fiber. We also call that fast glycolytic fibers. Glycolytic because glycolytic is for glycogen or glucose, and that means that the fast twitch muscle fibers use carbohydrates for fuel. They don't use fat, so they are fast twitch glycolytic. All right, but the two main names for them are fast twitch and type 2. Then there is slow twitch muscle fiber, or type 1. All right, now you might think, well, where does twitch come from? So twitch literally means, think of it like a spasm. So a fast twitch basically means that these muscle fibers, these individual muscle fibers, and there are thousands of each individual muscle fiber into what we call a motor neuron, and then that branches out into a muscle. So you get a bunch of muscle fibers into motor neurons that turn into muscles. All right, so there are all these different fibers turn into a grouping, and then that grouping becomes a bunch of groupings, and that becomes your muscles. All right, so in the case of fast twitch, that means that they literally twitch or contract, are stimulated quickly and contract quickly. So that's your first little scientific lesson of the day. That's where the name twitch comes from. It's literally one twitch is faster, the other twitch is slower. Now we're talking milliseconds here, okay? So it's not like you can, 1001, 1002. No, but that's where the name comes from. All right. Now, there's a moderate grouping, which actually goes under the fast twitch muscle fiber family, or type 2 family. And they are the intermediate fibers, and sometimes they're called the FOG fibers, FOG. And that stands for fast oxidative glycolytic. Okay, so remember, glycolytic means that the fibers themselves feed on carbohydrates. Slow twitch fibers feed on fat. Okay, so oxidative means aerobic, and aerobic means the fat source is fuel. So all this comes together. You're thinking like, well, should I eat fat, should I eat carbs and all that? But, we don't stop and think. It's like, well, literally our nutrition goes down to the cell level here. All right. So the slow twitch fibers use fat for fuel. The fast twitch fibers, type 2, use carbs or glycogen or glycolytic enzymes for fuel. And the intermediate fibers, just like you would guess, because they're kind of in between, and although they're in the fast twitch family, they're kind of in between, use both. So they're called fast because that's their family, oxidative, which is aerobic, like a slow twitch, glycolytic, which is like the fast twitch using carbs. Okay. Now a little bit of the nitty gritty, and don't worry, I'm not going to cover all of this today. I'm going to break it up all week because muscle fiber type and all that is really cool. So what is fast twitch known for? Fast twitch is known for explosive stuff. So if your body has to bench press a lot of weight, or if you're trying to lift something very heavy, it's the fast twitch muscle fibers that are doing that. So if you tend to be pretty strong, if you tend to be really fast, like you're a sprinter, you probably have more fast twitch muscle fiber. Slow twitch muscle fiber, it has more endurance. They last longer. They're fatigue resistant, we call it, fatigue resistant, which is critical. In fast twitch muscle fibers, they fatigue very quickly. In slow twitch muscle fibers, they fatigue very slowly. So they're your endurance fibers. So when you're walking, when you're running at an aerobic rate, when you're bicycling at an aerobic rate, when you are swimming at an aerobic rate, meaning comfortable. It's the slow twitch muscle fibers that are propelling you. Now, we're never using either or. We're always using a little bit of both, okay? So let's say you're running. So running is considered, of course, to be an aerobic exercise, right? So predominantly slow twitch muscle fibers. Well, that's true mostly. But as you start to go a little bit faster, then the fast twitch muscle fibers start to get involved. They get recruited, we call it, because they need to help you with that intensity that's raising, okay? So we're using both. Now, if you're in a full-on sprint, you're using 95 to 99% of your fast twitch muscle fibers. If you're walking very slow, it's the opposite. You're using majority of slow twitch muscle fibers. But you're always using a little bit of both. And the size theory is a scientific principle that says we always recruit from smallest to largest. Now, the slow twitch muscle fibers are smaller in size. Why? They don't hypertrophy like the fast twitch muscle fibers, meaning get bigger. All right? So we always recruit from smallest to largest. So we always recruit from slow twitch to fast twitch, no matter what. Now, the rate of recruitment depends on the intensity. So if the intensity really starts to ramp up, get harder, we start recruiting those fast twitch muscle fibers a lot sooner, a lot faster. Okay, so we're always recruiting them. And then if we slow down a little bit and we recover, well, then the slow twitch muscle fibers are taking back over again. So we're always recruiting both. All right. So again, I told you these are going to be kind of short this week because I'm going to give you a little bit to chew on and then get into like why this is more important. But each day I'm going to leave you with a little bit of why this is important or what's the most important thing to know. So just for today, understand fatigue, okay? So you think, well, then I should really, that's okay if I start to ramp it up and go really fast. I should recruit my fast twitch muscle fibers. Here's the problem with that. Every time you recruit your fast twitch muscle fibers, maybe a little prematurely, in other words, you start to really pick up your speed in a 5K, but you got 2 miles left. Now, again, you're going to be using a great percentage of both, even in your first mile. But if you can hold out on recruiting those fast twitch muscle fibers later versus sooner, then you're going to actually increase your endurance, because here's the problem. When you recruit fast twitch muscle fibers, you're recruiting lactate. Now, lactate, if you've been on a leg extension or things like that, exercises like that, it really burns and makes you stop, right? Well, now we know that it's not lactate that slows you down, but it's actually the sodium concentration in the cell, the acidity in the cell that slows you down or makes you want to stop. So when you feel a presence of lactate, you're also getting more acidic in the cell, which means very, very importantly, that as you start to recruit more and more fast twitch muscle fibers, you are going to fatigue much sooner. Now, I tend to be more of a fast twitcher, especially in my legs, and I'm going to get more to the genetic side of it a little bit tomorrow. So that means if I start recruiting my fast twitch muscle fibers sooner, and that just means I wasn't very educated in my pace, I wasn't very aware of what I was doing, and I try not to do that, but it happens, then I'm going to slow down prematurely, and I'm not going to do my best because I'm not going to have the speed to pick it up when I want to because I fatigue those fibers. So it's very important to know what you are made of, all right, more, so you can train and pace appropriately to best utilize your genetics, because I don't think there's good and bad genetics. I think all that's bullcrap, really. I mean, we're all, made to be great, right? We just going to be great in different ways. There's just understanding how to train. So if you are more of a fast twitcher, you need to understand that and pace more appropriately and work on your endurance, and especially learn how to deal with the lactic acid and the acidity in the cell, which I'll get into a little more as we train. If you're more of a slow twitcher, then you don't really have to worry about the pacing as much, not nearly as much, but you may have to work on really trying to recruit as much fast twitch fibers as you can to have a kick at the end of the race if you're doing 5Ks or something like that. You know, if you don't have that fast twitch or know how to recruit it, then you're not going to have a very good, what we call, kick at the end of the race, which you may or may not need depending on what your goal is or how close it is. All right, so like I said, understanding this is very, very important. And I'll leave you with one more, you know, why this matters for everybody that goes to the gym, because as I said, it's so important for strength training and endurance training. If you go to the gym and you find yourself having trouble like catching your breath and having trouble with fatigue while you're lifting weights, and you find that, you know, you're not getting good quality sets out of it because everything is taking a long time to recover, you're probably more of a fast twitcher and you need to adjust to that. Now, where I see the bigger problem though is with my slow twitchers, because they go to the gym and they recover so quickly, they think anyway, because we never completely recover until we're done and the next day. But then they want to do their next set very quickly, but their muscles really haven't recovered as much as they think. They just feel a little bit more comfortable, and now they're not using the maximum load they can use, which they need because they don't have it anyway because they're more slow twitchers. So understanding what we are, genetically speaking, is very important in how to train, and that's why we listen to There Is a Method to the Madness. I'll leave you with, I'm mostly fast twitch fiber, but I have a lot of fog fibers. I have a lot fast oxidative glycolytic because I've been able to do strength sports and I've been able to do endurance sports, so I'm not really purely one. What are you? Let me know. All right, now it is time to thank my second sponsor, which I'm also very grateful for. If you don't know, you know now. I love salads. I love salads. I love salads, and I love vegetarian options. And our new sponsor, Istanbul Turkish Mediterranean Cuisine, absolutely has some of the best salads out there. You really got to check them out. And if you live locally in Ormond Beach, well, it's pretty easy to do. They are at 488 South Young Street, Ormond Beach, Florida, 32174. They do takeout and delivery. Just give them a shout at 386-492-7100, or you can place an order online at istanbulflorida.com. All right? Thanks, everybody. And until next time, be Max Fit and be Max Well.